We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together. Welcome. We invite all to this worship service this morning. We welcome everyone, all faith backgrounds, all racial identities, all gender identities, expressions, and orientations, without regard to political perspectives.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Wherever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world, we join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds. Embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth, we light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but of well-being, a world of new peace and abundance for all, as we give thanks for our earth, our shared and singular home. May we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the call deep within us and all around us. May we respond today and always with courage and with love. Lynn Harrison. Please join me in the affirmation of covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church, and the quest of truth its sacrament, and service its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the good. Thus do we covenant with one another. The congregation has approved the 2021-22 budget, and the pledge video and pledge form are now on the UUBC website in the members and friends section. With June being Gay Pride Month, the Share the Plate will be going to Lucy's Plate in support of programs for LGBTQ individuals. Please write share in the memo of your check and send it to UUBC at 403 Barcelona Road, Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, 71909. Thank you for your generosity.
Good morning. Before I get started with my reading, I have to confess that I've been poking around looking at what's been going on in the church, in the sanctuary, the parking lot, etc., and I'm excited. But for my reading this morning, I chose something familiar, and I titled it Tell Me, but it's kind of a mushing of some of Mary Oliver's best poetry to me, and I want to share it with you this morning as we anticipate this new journey, this new chapter in our journey as a church. She writes, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. And meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. So tell me, what is it you will do with your one and precious life?" For a dramatic moment this morning, I chose something that we haven't seen together. It's called Room at the Table. It's by Mary Newcomer. Let's watch it together, and I'll be back in a moment.
Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is a room at the table for everyone. This is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. Too long we have wandered, burdened and undone, but there is room at the table for everyone.
As I said earlier, I've been poking around and I'm getting excited. It may just be that we're going to say goodbye to one chapter in the life of this church and begin a new one. But before we do, I want to ask you to join me in a moment of prayer. This has been an extraordinary period in the lives of so many, including the lives of this church. So, if you will, please. Holy of many names, mystery beyond all naming, let us pray this morning for all of those known and unknown who have suffered during this pandemic, those who have struggled to keep their businesses alive, those tending to so many children at home and trying to homeschool them through this, those who have perished, and the families hurting by these losses, for our first responders and medical professionals who continue giving us their very best, even as these times do remain uncertain. Let us offer our support in our silence. So join me now for that. Let us pray. Thank you. And we pray that you and your family are safe and healthy today. So, during that dramatic moment, when I saw those two little boys playing in the puddles, it took me back almost 70 years. That could have been me and my next oldest brother. We had so much fun. It was just delightful joy and discovery the day that we did exactly what I saw in that video. But of course, then we had to head home, and we did so with apprehension because we got a whooping when we got home for dragging ourselves in with wet, muddy clothes. And somebody told me this week that she had a brother that was always getting into trouble, and whenever he was about to get a whooping, she would be the one crying for him. But he would just wink at her and say, it doesn't hurt long, meaning that it was worth whatever it was that he did. And I can tell you, the memory of wading through puddles with one of my brothers is worth the whooping. Let us not be confused about our future together, however. It is time for us to invest even more heartedly into the goodness we are capable of creating and the primacy of love and generosity that we must seek, the wisdom and kindness that lives in each of us. You know, I've become a voracious reader during this pandemic, and there's 2 books right now, and I'm not recommending them because they'll take up your whole summer. I'm afraid they're going to take up mine as well. But one of them is a book called Blueprint. And in it, the author, Nicholas Christakis, he talks about a time when he was working back east and I think it was either Harvard or MIT, they wanted to study Buddhist monks. You know, the Buddhist monks are known for their calmness, for their meditation skills, for their view of the world as being somewhat different. So they wanted to MRI their brains. So they bring a huge group of them to Boston area. But after they did the scientific stuff, there was a Q&A. And one of I guess an assistant professor asked the lead Buddhist monk, he said, I noticed that you rented a car and you were driving around in Boston in this crazy traffic. So let me ask you a question. How do you respond in the Buddhist tradition to someone cutting you off in traffic? And the monk thought for a second. He says, well, I will tell you. I try to imagine that the man is driving with a woman in the back seat who is about to give birth to a new child, to a new life. And he's doing his level best to get to that hospital so that she and their child will be safe. Then it doesn't bother me so much. Creating our own reality. We have the ability to see the best in each of us, to imagine the best in each of us. as we continue our journey live with each other. But so much has happened recently, so much this past week for that sake, so much goodness. Juneteenth is now the 12th national holiday in the United States. I don't want to get too emotional about it, but my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, lived to be 103. She passed away a couple of years ago. She was born on Juneteenth. She would have been ecstatic to have another reason to celebrate a national holiday for her birthday. But I want to make sure that this doesn't end up being an appeasement. By that I mean the same way we did Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We still had a lot of work to do, and work that we never completed, but we created the holiday and went on about our business. We need to make sure that this is not simply an appeasement. This is not going to be a distraction from the work that is ours to do. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and the thing we both agreed on is that one of the real problems with the way we treat each other is our prison system. That it has got to be overhauled. And one of the most important things that we need to do is to eliminate corporate-owned, for-profit prisons. They are a blight on our present, and they will be a blight on our future if we don't do something about them. The Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, or the ACA, however you like to know it by, was upheld, successfully defended once again by the Supreme Court of the United States. And a friend sent a cartoon. Thank you. It said, headlines of a newspaper and a cartoon, it said, U.S. Supreme Court upholds Obamacare 7-2. Others are asking for a recount. So anyway, I love getting those things and getting a chance to chuckle. But let us not forget that this weekend also signals the end of spring and the beginning of summer, although it feels like summer didn't get the message. It was so excited it got here a little early. But it's nice to be relieved of some of those interminable days of rain that we had. But it's been a little steamy out there these last few days. But as Katharine Hepburn used to say, one of my favorite actresses, just being alive is sheer joy. And so it's good to be alive this morning and to anticipate the opening of our church again. It's also Father's Day. Yeah, and I'm like any father, any grandfather. I try not to even worry too much about Father's Day because my family's not close to me physically anymore. But I found myself thinking when I got up yesterday, well, I wonder how many of my children, my grandchildren, will at least call this weekend. And lo and behold, I get a delivery from my favorite nephew that says, what it said from Harry and David, and you can't go wrong with Harry and David, so I'm opening a box from him and his wife and their lovely daughter. And I've got now all these exotic nuts and cheeses to play with over the weekend, and the best pears I've ever tasted. So it's fun to know that certain traditions carry on in our culture, certain holidays and unofficial and official, that we can celebrate each other. So, one response. We'll see how many more before the weekend is over. But I'm reminded again, every time joy pops in, what am I going to do with my one wild and precious life too as we continue? You know, I said that it was like 70 years ago that my brother and I used to pal around and do all those things that little boys do. So the past, what do they say? The past is never over, it's not even past. Our lives are fluid. And this next chapter for most of us is going to be one of those chapters where we can say, yes, we're among the elderly in our tribe now. but also we've never had more time, more hard-earned wisdom, and more treasure with which to move the world in the direction we want for our own remaining years, but also for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. If, like you, I have 2 grandsons I haven't met yet because of COVID. I've seen them on YouTube. I've seen them on, I've got pictures of them. But actually, one's a grandson, the other one's a great-grandson. My first, and they're both about to turn 2 years old, because they got caught in that trap where we shut down hard 16, 18 months ago. So there's lots for us to do to recapture our closeness and our connections with family, and I hope you're prepared to try to do that as we move forward. Every day is an important day, right? But now, as I mentioned, I'm reading this book called Blueprint, and it's maybe not new, but it's new to me. He says some startling things that I wanted to share this morning. He points out that everything and everyone who has ever lived is in our DNA, because we all go back into that original primordial soup from that original creation of this planet. And it is our shared strength that we are connected scientifically in so many wonderful ways. And he also reminded me that social networks are a living thing, and we create them. We are embedded in the process of creating them. I'm in a couple, Facebook and some others, but I was reminded of Emerson, who said that a friend may be the most important aspect of evolution. But Christoska points out something else that I found astonishing. And you know what it's like. If you're not a zebra and you look at 2 or 3 zebras, you can't tell them apart. I'm not a snake. I can't tell 3 identical snakes apart. But as human beings, we can become as unique as we do and are, and yet still we can differentiate each other by looking into each other's face. If we want to, we can differentiate easily between identical twins. That's how good our evolutionary goodness has become. And I love hearing that, because these last few months have been tough. It's been, what's coming next? What are we going to do with this? And anyway, Blueprint is a book about hope, and how we're hardwired in our evolutionary DNA for hope, and never giving up. So if you're adventurous, it's called Blueprint. If you're not, I'm sure I'll be sharing more of the book as the summer continues. He also likes to point out that in spite of millenniums of bad behavior, we humans know how to befriend others, to care about unrelated humans, to create family, that altruism is encoded in our genes, and that we must invest in our goodness. And he points out that love is present everywhere, even today. And I love that. But we must not surrender to tribalism, and that's part of what's gotten us in our trouble as we are today, facing this new future with the new things that we want to do. And there's lots we want to do. We had a social justice meeting again yesterday, and our team is really forming around an energy that is palpable. And it's also important for you to know that what a proportion of our church is engaged in social justice work. I guess what I want to talk most about, though, as I conclude this homily or sermon or reflection, for me, the highest expression of our human endeavor is through our arts, A-R-T-S. We saw the dancing and the music, and that's lovely, and we instinctively do that. I mean, when we found ourselves with that odd fifth Sunday a few years ago. What did we fill it with? Music on Barcelona. And music is a very important part. In the book, they talk about the various ways that our art forms are presented through singing. Our choir's growing even in the absence. It should be more robust than ever when we come together again. And we have instinctively hung our own art on the wall of the sanctuaries, on the community hall. We surround ourselves with the expressions of our best self, our artistic endeavors, and poetry, the written word. This is who we are. We have come to all of that instinctively. And it is my hope that as we reopen the church and gather once again and get the things that have been denied us for so long, hugs and kisses and handshakes and the rest, and good coffee on Sunday morning, but that we will remember that we are all artists in either word, dance, song, painting, music. I'll never forget the first time I was here for, I guess what was a music on Barcelona. It was a musical service anyway, and John Lysengreen had managed to secure the Spa City jazz group to come play. And I remember at the end, they played When the Saints Come Marching In, and the entire congregation, over 100, were dancing in the aisles and doing a conga line through the church. And afterwards, John was a little apprehensive. He said, Mark, were you okay with that? And I said, John, that's about as good as church can possibly become. Music shaking the rafters and the congregation's so inspired they can't sit still. That's good church. And I'm looking forward to us finding that and recapturing that again. But in our Unitarian Universalist goal, we imagine a world where everyone's humanity is evident without qualifications. I still dream that everyone's humanity can become self-evident because we're looking for it. You know, I love this church because we don't have to all speak English as our first language. We don't have to embrace Christianity to belong here as others have to in some other places. No one who understands the past would want to go back to it. Why would we? We have this opportunity for a brand new future, and I'm excited about it. You know, a new day is dawning. Our new future is beginning. And I will tell you, quite honestly, in my 4 years here in the village, I can honestly say that this is the most inviting church in the village. And it's ours. But when we come here, we are vulnerable. So, we have chosen the 4th of July to reopen our church, and we're going to reopen it whether we have the service here in the sanctuary, fingers crossed, or in the community hall. We are coming alive again. And so I want to share these thoughts with you. We're going to restart our journey of discovery. We're going to hear each other's stories again, greet each other, as I said, with hugs and handshakes that have been sorely missed. And we're going to sing. We're going to raise the rafters, shake them up. Music is a critical part of the spiritual journey. It connects us, unites us, and makes our hearts soar in gratitude for this community. And I want to give thanks to everybody that helped us learn Zoom. Zoom has been a huge friend to us, but it and the other new tools that we've learned can't take the place of being in church together to witness our lives, to have our lives witnessed by those with like hearts. So there's simply no substitute for that. And although we've done a wonderful job of staying close to each other as best we can, there is no question that the COVID-19 interlude has restrained us from the joys of sharing our space. And so when we re-enter here and meet this moment in life, let us bring our highest humanity again. We're going to face together what has been hard and hurting and rise to what is beautiful and life-affirming. We can do that. And for those of you that may be watching for the first time, if you've never experienced church here at 403 Barcelona, be assured that these are brave, curious, and compassionate people. We unite around shared values and principles, not creeds, and we care most about what happens in this life. Our modern history extends from early European Protestants to American revolutionaries, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, Paul Revere, Emerson, Thoreau, Whitman, Clara Barton, Linus Pauling, Whitney Young, a long line of hopefuls. We have claimed this faith tradition. We have dared to dream of a better world, and we are working to make it better. So, come and be loved and find the exuberant joy that lives in this church, in our Unitarian Universalist Village Church. I don't have the song handy, but I am so excited. I cannot hide it. We're about to start our church over again, live with you. We're going to sing again, and then I'll be back with our charge.
Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity, let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision, clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Spirit of great mystery, hear the still small voice in me. Help me live my wordless creed as I comfort those in need. Fill me with compassion, be the source of my intuition. And when life is done for me, let love be my legacy.
Just a reminder that when the service is concluded, you're invited to join us on Zoom for our congregational chat. We would love to see you. 11 a.m. For our charge this morning, I want to sum up what has been a remarkable exploratory year for me and for you by just simply saying there is no one I would rather take this journey of preparing a future for this church and for our community than you. You're the best. And I hope to see you soon. Take care. Let's sing Peace Be With You.
Peace be with us till we meet again. Nature's beauty will surround us. Loving kindness all around us. Peace be with us till we meet again. Peace be with you till we meet again. May our fellowship enfold you. Kindred spirits here uphold you. Peace be with you till we meet again.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my songs. Butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in.
Well, sometimes I'm right, and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then it makes no difference what group I'm in. 'Cause I am everyday people.
There is a blue one that can't accept the green one, for living with the fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. It's Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. Sha-sha. We gotta live together.
I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then still can't figure out the bag I'm in.
And everyday people.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a long head that doesn't like the short hair, for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. It's Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Sha-sha. We got to live together. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. It's Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Sha-sha. And everyday people.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, turnaround arts, people all over the world, brothers, sisters, around the planet. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Come on now.